Hey, welcome back. Just for a start, I want to point out this is probably going to be mostly a rant. Why do you ask it's going to be a rant, apart from bugs and all this bullshit? Um, all these anomalies have just culminated into a video. If you don't know what the video is, go back and watch the last 5-ish minutes of the last part. You'll see the video there, it's footage. Excuse me. Essentially, it was set through the Isu, and it heralded all the gods. All the Norse gods, be it from Freyr, Tyr, I believe Odin was there. Odin, I would assume Thor, or etc., etc. Now, there are so many problems, with assumptions to what this could relate to. Now, I mentioned last time or the time before that there was something, a theory I've been pulling through, and it was that Tyr is Sigurd. That's been proven. Why do you ask that? Okay. If by now, if you've been following my playthrough, you'll know, and I apologize for spoiler alert because you've not seen that part. I've said it now, spoiler alert. Eivor as Odin battles Fenrir. Now, of course, that's foretold. We shackle him. But before that, he tears off the forearm of Tyr. Tyr's forearm. Sigurd has had that done through torture. So, go. Now you're thinking, hang on. So, okay, and I know what you're thinking. Hang on, whoa. But hang on. How do you know he's Sigurd? Okay. Through the torture, Sigurd has always revealed that there was some presence. He felt something special about him. At the torture, it's like something awoke in him. That is Tyr. Basim is being done by Loki. It's the same voice. Ergo, Basim is Loki. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we are through the shadow of Odin. Now, the whole thing is basically... this whole Isu thing, this whole Basim thing... Basim doesn't give two shits about the assassins. Basim is either the control of Loki directly or is being heavily manipulated by Loki. Whether he's an actual assassin, I have ridiculous doubts. At this point, I don't consider Basim to be an assassin. I consider it to be a manipulative puppet of Loki. For those who don't realize, Loki is hailed as the trickster god of the Norse. So, for him to want to trick someone would make perfect sense, and especially if Basim, whether he rose to the ranks with the consultation of Loki as a trickster, or whether he became to the rank of master, and Loki decided then to quote unquote console him to counsel him into doing all these things, who the hell knows. But this entire bloody game is basically apart, like, literally around, Basim wants to get back at, wants to get back at Tyr and Odin. Well, their reincarnations are Sigurd and Eivor, hence, therefore, when he finds Sigurd, who Loki therefore can tell, I don't know how he can tell, but he would have his ways being an Isu, that it has Tyr, which means that now the target for Basim is Sigurd. Recruiting, sweet talk, whatever you like. We meet Eivor, there go the story. This has nothing to do with the assassins. This is no longer an Assassin's Creed game. This is a game centered around the Norse gods. Which, for the record, this has nothing to do with one of Juno or Jupiter or Minerva's master plans. From what if my memory from AC recollection is correct in terms of from Desmond, who learning from, I believe it was Juno and even Jupiter, about the 6 grand plans for the East trying to prevent the natural major disaster of the coronal mass ejection. I believe that's what it was. Anyway, it was the mass destruction of their kind. There was something about restoring memory, which was through between Minerva and Aita. Aita being Minerva's husband, or whichever. That's my memory. I'm pretty sure it was Minerva. But anyway, anyway. It was one of those two. I'm pretty anyway, whichever way around. So that my brain is saying Minerva, so I'm probably wrong. But anyway, you get my point. So if you played AC3, you'll understand. So the chair required a hefty amount of technology for one single chair. That was through mind transmission, hence Aita has been known as the sage through AC lore. That has never changed, it's fundamental. So, for this whole thing to suddenly just, I mean, to be fair, the sage and the process they're talking about through, like, descendancy transition through descendancy, if that's the best way to put it, it's not the same. I mean, it's almost like, I mean, to be fair, the sage has got higher amounts of Isu DNA anyway, so it means it's going to do more Isu related things. Got the separate eyes, which in that that context differentiates them. But, you know, I think the other voice might be Alethea. Now, where that Fintergram plans, that would tie in Odyssey, and it would also tie in Valhalla. How? The staff of Hermes Trismegistus. How? I have not entirely sure how all this works, but it's making me wonder something. Because this is, I mean, Odyssey was a shit show in every way, shape. I mean, even though it was a bad RPG, at least it was an RPG of a Greek mystios, a Greek warrior set in Greece, in ancient Greece. Like that part no one's arguing about. The argument is on whether it was an AC game is colossal bullshit. It wasn't. The Cult of Cosmos is not Templars. It's their own thing. Excuse me. Okay, maybe it has some Isu stuff in there, where you can meet Medusa, whatever they were, humans or whatever, that were controlled by pieces of Eden. So that's, I mean, that explains in itself. But it pulls up another big controversy because, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but so the whole game is basically that Loki wants to have a confrontation through the ages with Odin and Tyr now. That's gonna happen. That's what this game's all about. It's nothing to do with the blood. The assassins. It's a side note. This is Assassin's Bloody Creed. When the hell does this take a side foot? Oh no! We'll have a bureau. Bassin doesn't matter. It's all about Hytham and this bureau. I thought we were returning to the essence of Assassin's Creed. The only two, as far as I can see, with what I understand about the story, because that's just told me the story now, with the plot points that we've seen and heard from, pieced together. The only two Assassin's Creed elements in this whole game so far, with the, I mean, we don't know about the Wrath of the Druids and the Siege of Paris, the DLCs. That might be cleared up for now. I bloody hope so. The only two parts of AC in this whole game, and I did promise I was going to go on a rant, is the Order of the Ancients, which is the prelude to the Order of the Templars, because that's where it was mentioned in Origins, being the start of the Brotherhood. So that therefore clears that up. Yeah, and I know what someone's about to say. Yeah, but you had the whole thing with Darius, one of the first, claiming one of the first assassins, Hidden Blade. That wasn't done very well. I'm sorry. It wasn't. I'm not an expert in the character of Darius, but the way they constructed him and his background going to Egypt, oh god, there was things wrong with that. But look, unless you understand AC lore, you won't understand why I'm saying it's a terrible way. The way it's done was terrible. You won't understand. If you do, I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because there are plenty of people out there who understand, who agree with me in that regard. Odyssey period full stop was not an Assassin's Creed game. This game has now built on the premise that it isn't. The only thing that justifies its existence as an AC franchise, like in terms of as an actual AC title, is the fact that and I'm loosely counting this because it's got Hytum as an actual assassin. So far we know. Hytum is an assassin. The first actual assassin. I don't care what Bassam says anymore. He is not an assassin in my eyes. He's controlled or being heavily manipulated by Loki. No, sorry, he's not an assassin. Period. I don't care if he's wearing the Levantine or whatever outfits. I'm sorry. Out the window. That doesn't matter anymore. Which is so dumb and stupid because that should have been a reference. But it's not anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. What bullshit! Anyway, so now the loosely thing is the bureau. We've had bureaus in AC before. That is no surprise. That's a really cool thing. Just one? But everyone in Norway, like I get it's not the biggest place in the world, but seriously. Oh dear, we can't there's no Hythans that say, oh, recruit sign or have an ally, you know, set up some sort of bureau stand like you had an AC1. I think of that, and I believe Black Flag as well. You know, what the hell? Not even any of that. It's like in terms of AC, the original way it was done. It's like this whole game is designed to give you reference points, not, oh, hang on, we're gonna show you. It's like the hidden blade. Like, don't get me wrong, the hidden blade for Eivor is symbolic for the outside, being the Vikings want to be blunt, stand out, and don't want to hide. That it's got pride and honor. I'm not holding that against Eivor. No, I know that sounds a bit like, wait, what? I don't. Eivor's not an assassin. Eivor hasn't actually been tried. Okay, yeah, it'd be given arts by Basim, but hasn't taught the creed. We have collected the pieces of the tenets and all the original scriptures, and some of them from England, but we haven't been cultured. We haven't been taught and cultured in the creed, in tenets and the elements of the Brotherhood. You know, we didn't. I mean, okay, we went through a leap of faith, but that was just with Hytham wanting to. Want to show us and explain how the feeling of being unburdened, had the leap of faith been, you know, being able to free yourself and make a leap of faith in terms of unburdening your spirit, I think it was the way you put it, or something along those lines, which makes sense. You know, it's trying to help us free our mind, unburden our spirit, all that. Like, I understand that. With the possible pretext of us joining the Brotherhood. During this game, there has been nothing to... In fact, if anything, the opposite. Because each assassination we've done, there's been no confirmation that we're an assassin. We work with just say, you're a Viking. The problem is all the Templars assume we're an assassin. But we then treat it as a Norse, a Viking. That's exactly how we treat those moments. As Eivor should. But it's not giving a pretense to, I'm going to be an assassin. It's, I am a Viking, but I'm doing the assassinations. Which, in of itself, I don't have a problem with, because it's as a Viking, like, I have a problem with the perspective of we're not playing as an assassin, or there's no context to us joining them yet, if I'm honest. Like, we're basically going to be, like, we're going to have to deal with Sigurd. There's probably going to be a confrontation. He probably might die. Who the hell knows? I don't know. I'm just saying there's going to be a confrontation. We may end up leading the Raven clan fully. Which means we're not going to we can't be part of the Brotherhood. So that throws that timeline out the way. Which means this is not an AC. Which means that doesn't clarify this is an AC game. It classifies this as an open world RPG game where we play as a Viking and Norse Viking that travels to England, wants to take it over with the right sins, with the allies, help free people, do other quests. such bullshit. Oh my god. It's sometimes I really do wonder. when the whole thing in this whole game was, and oh by the way, the whole any link with the staff of Hermes Megitus, it makes me wonder. So when I said the voice Alethea, it made me wonder because the only reason that could have any correlation is if, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, it was Angrboda, which is Loki's lover. It was a Jotun. If she is that reincarnation in whatever way, shape, or form of Alethea, then the staff Hermes Trismegistus can actually retain life. So, if somehow Alethea has bewitched the staff, which, let's face it, she had plenty of opportunity, since she was already bloody taught, or at least gave knowledge to Pythagoras, or Pythagoras, however you want to say his name. I mean, that would be the context to link the two games badly, because that's just, it's like they made Valhalla the sequel. There's no link. Like, that's a terrible way to link, especially from an Isu perspective, because the whole thing is when we meet Poseidon, Hades, Persephone, like it's like the whole thing being Isu related, especially with Atlantis. Now, I've got no problem with Atlantis being Isu. Because it's mythical. I get it. I totally get it. But, you know, and I could be wrong here, and I'm happy to be correct on this point. In general, as long as people can give me good reference points. But specifically, I think Poseidon or someone referenced the fact that Atlantis, that's also one of the colonies or one major cities or whatever. But, you know, they weren't gods per se, in the sense that compared to the project leaders of these major world-saving devices from Jupiter, Juno, Minerva, for example, there was no connection there to any sort of major leadership from Poseidon. It's just that they were saying, we were Isu. And I can buy that to an extent. But for this whole power thing of, oh, we're going to save our minds in Yggdrasil, and, you know, it's all leading... I mean, when I say the whole thing of, I can buy the fact that maybe they were Isu, or whether it's just used in a name. I said I can buy it. I didn't necessarily say it was good, just to point out. I can see how that would be used in that context. I didn't say it was good, because the problem there is there's a complete contradiction, and I know what people think. Hang on, what do you mean there's a contradiction? Okay, the problem I have is that with that going there is, so if we're saying that, and to even point out like the mythical beasts like Medusa, because that would mean that Medusa, Minotaur, Cyclops, Sphinx, and the other creatures were actual Isu. They weren't. And I understand that there were people who were cursed by a piece of Eden. Sure, okay, fine. But the problem is, they're revered. However, whether it be famously or infamously. So then there's a contradiction of religions in terms of the gods, because if you're going to fully place the Greek gods, the Norse gods, then my question is, so what are the Romans? What are the Egyptians? Do you get what I'm coming from? Just, I know there's a bunch of other religions and everything have their own gods. These are just ones. I mean, the Mughal, the Persian, the Chinese, the Japanese, all this sort of thing. Like, it's like, where are their gods? Like, are they Isu? Are they not? Are they not, quote unquote, worthy? Like, it's. I mean, and to make matters worse, when we were in a vault in Egypt, right? I try to pay specific attention to the fact that the names reference to any of the Egyptian gods, and I don't remember there ever being. If maybe there was like one, maybe, but the rest were talking about the creed, or at least Isu's ancient original interpretation of what could be classified as the Assassin's Creed. Nothing is true, everything is permitted in their own way, and they did, and that was kind of cool. That was actually really cool in that sense. But it calls into question. So, we're naming Norse, we're naming Greeks, but we're gonna leave out the Romans. And yes, I know. You hang on, whoa, but isn't Juno and Jupiter temples? Yes, you can have the Temple of Jupiter. You can have the well, okay, I'm not 100% sure Juno is in Rome. I certainly know Jupiter is a Roman god. Mars is too. But yes, so Isu, but they were like leaders. They were prominent. That was made obvious. So we never heard anything about, and they were just in a name. Jupiter and Juno, and I don't know if Mars was even actual in Isu, might have been. They were never references to the actual religion. They were in just a name. Which is fine. Because it's used as like a kind of a cool reference, like, oh wow, maybe as in memory of. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud there, but in that sense, that was really cool. Because like, oh, you got Jupiter, you got Juno, Minerva. I don't think, but certainly those two, they're definitely temple. They're religions. They're gods and goddesses. Absolutely. I'm not 100% sure in Juno where that's one more of the. I think that's Roman. It might be from more in the European, in terms of like the medieval stuff and everything. But I think it's Rome. My memory on that one's a bit faded, but I do know that Mars and Jupiter are Roman gods. At least there's massive temples and all that to them, but well, even if Mars was used just for case of example, but I've never known Jupiter and Juno to be named in that sense. It's always been names, just cool references, if anything. But they're implicating Greek gods, the full bunch. They're implicating the Norse gods. So that would mean that Jupiter is Jupiter. That would mean that Juno is Juno. But they're not. They never said they were. And the game lore would have said otherwise. Since they haven't, that contradicts that Odin is, that the Norse gods are the Norse gods, that Yggdrasil's the Yggdrasil, that, that bloody Poseidon, Hades, Persephone, Heracles, you get what I'm saying? It contradicts those things entirely. It's such a contradiction. And I had it, like, Odyssey, we can put in the back says, like, yeah, fine, that's an RPG, bad RPG, game set in Greece, fine, whatever. But either this game is, in Isu terms, a sequel to Odyssey, which, if what the hell, we were promised back to Assassin's Creed, which, to an extent, I don't blame Darby, because his hands are being forced by Ubisoft in that sense, so you can only do what companies do what they want to an extent, and they give us a game. I mean, to be fair, we weren't all expecting a massive amount of bugs and issues, but there have been, so at least they're doing their best to over time rectify them. But I'm just saying, I mean, there were things that were promised, and yeah, especially just in terms of the lore and the fact that Basim, I don't count Basim as an assassin anymore. But with that there are certain things in this game which, for the context of Assassin's Creed, no longer hold substance anymore. Which is awful. That's not the way it should ever be. It really shouldn't. My God. I know I said I'd probably go around. I'm going to do at least one mission. But just end. I'll just let us all just separate ourselves. But I just... If this game, just to put it roughly, if this game had been complete, like if... How can I put this? If this game had been, say, at... Brilliant point also to point out. That would explain why Valhalla has nothing to do with us, why nothing to do with Isu. Which, actually, in itself, contradicts the whole Isu thing. Because, and I would point this out to being truth in itself, if Odin, Thor, and those people were actual Isu, they would have had the special Isu build, if that's the best way to put it, in Valhalla. They would have, and to an extent that would mean that Jotunheim would have to have had it as well. Because if that's the case, with Alethea being Angrboda, or whichever way around, but which means that Jotuns would have to have been Isu as well, to a certain amount, which means that certain parts of Jotunheim would have to have been Isu, which means the structures in Valhalla would have to be Isu, which they weren't, which contradicts that. It completely contradicts it. Because otherwise, we went to Asgard, I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And I'm wondering, so where's Isu? But I grew to, excuse me, I grew to like, oh yeah, okay, we're playing as Odin in memory. It's like, we get to meet Thor, Freya, whatever. Fine, cool. Like, I mean, okay, it's not immensely connective, but sure. In terms of how it progresses in the story, it's about Odin and maybe the whole thing with, you know, when we got to meet with, shit, I forgot his name on the top of my head. The guy with foresight, the seer. Oh, my brain's on sleep with that one. But anyway, if you know God of War, you know what I'm talking about. But with that, it was like a really cool reference to Norse lore. Like, such a cool reference. And I really did enjoy it. But to say that they're Isu means that Asgard had to be Isu. It had to be buildings. But they weren't, which that in itself contradicts the video we saw. Because if you can't do one, it's like, it's constantly, it's consistency. You have to do one, you have to do the other. Not, oh, here's Asgard. It's not Isu by any means, but... Well, not even Fenrir was Isu. Like, there's no Apollovine, there's no nothing, you know. But apparently, there's two Isu that made Fenrir, so he must be a god, so he's super powerful, must use Isu weapon. No! No. We're in a site, an Isu site, that's completely Isu, with Isu characters who have the name that claim to be the original gods. But no, Asgard can't be Isu whatsoever. What bullshit! Talk about lack of consistency. Makes me wonder how the staff ties in all this. It makes me wonder... I mean, does that mean that Jormungandr and pretty sure Loki had one more kid, but I can't remember who it is, but I'm sure someone will probably tell me. I think it's another god I can't remember off the top of my head, but so wait, Jormungandr is the spirit of something else? Okay. So if Basim wants to rescue his children, he has to go and find them, and he's just gonna search? Excuse me, so you're telling me the next Asu next yeah, smashing words gonna hear. The next Assassin's Creed game is the final of the three, where Basim searches for Fenrir, for the reincarnation of Fenrir and Jormungandr and his other kid. What? How the hell is that AC? It's not even bloody Isu! That's a contradiction to everything AC stands for. Oh my god. Look, I'm sorry Ubisoft if you take offense in some form to this video. I'm just saying that there are certain glaring things there are certain aspects to this game that's like that are lack of consistency, and it's you know, things that are not AC at all. That yes, you have an open world, you have an RPG game, yes, you have an adventure action game, yes, I'm not saying it's not about Vikings. You're trying to tie in things that actually that don't make sense. You're trying to match lore and history, if not rewrite certain things or adjust certain things that have been in AC lore and ESU lore within AC lore, or vice versa, since the first, second, and third game. By that I mean, you know, AC1 to Brotherhood Evil Revelations. Way back then have been installed as part of that franchise lore ever since. That were fundamental. That's all I'm saying. That if you're watching and think, but I'm just saying, realize what you've done in the game. There are things that don't make any sense. Things that have no obvious connection that should not have a connection because they don't make any sense. That's all I'm trying to say. I did promise to do a mission, and yes, I might leave that just in case. Just do one mission. So I did promise we would do one. I'm going to do one, otherwise it's just going to be... I don't want to rant for the whole video, but it was one of those, like, I've had my suspicions for a while, and I was so hoping I wasn't going to be confirmed, but I have tragically been confirmed. The signs have been there. It's one of those cases where it's been in denial for me. Like, I'm saying, no. I've given this game so much benefit of doubt. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll prove this, I'll prove that, I'll prove the other. It's just shat on itself, and it's just like, I'm thinking, I've got to rant, but I've got to try and... I'm sorry if I didn't quite go into explain certain things as much as I could. I just don't want to be sitting here for an hour talking, because I'm going to crack my voice. I'm going to croak my voice up. It's not worth it. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to try and culminate my thoughts, explain stuff maybe better. You know, see how the story finishes, because this is how I see it going. And I hope the game can truly change my mind, but at least I have a better idea of what's going to happen, how things have happened, how things have occurred, how they've done things, how maybe they plan to do things once I finish the story. And that's when I, you know, actually collect my thoughts and like, you know what, this has happened, this is why, that shouldn't, that should have, etc, etc. So, yeah. But I had to say what I said, because it's so bullshit.
So if you there, Dane, come join your fellows. Music is my gift to you all.
It's just such bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, but it truly is. You look very almost suspicious. But I was just trying to collect my thoughts and saying all that, because I wanted to. I didn't want to. I mean, I have a tendency when I'm ranting to go off topic to the point where it's just ridiculous. But I had to try and be concise.
And the Lord made thee, and the Lord made hops and barley. So if you would close to heaven be, have another ale or three.
I don't consider myself to be the foremost expert on AC, but I certainly know a great deal, enough that I can see drastic inconsistencies to things. It's even like with some stuff concerning with RE. I'm not by any means the biggest expert. I do love RE, and I know quite a bit about the lore. Alright, some things I've been corrected on in time, but that's because there's been a lot of confusion in it, which has been cleared up. It's a very confusing subject at times. RE is, if you can understand the timeline, some things are pretty obvious, and yeah. I like to think I've got a good amount of knowledge on AC. It's my favorite gaming franchise of all time, And it's such a shame when things like this
Lord
happen.
made me, and the Lord
At least
made
so
thee,
far
and
for
the
what
Lord
I've seen
made hops
anyway.
and barley.
Discovered, just saying.
So if
Here's a merry gathering. A Saxon playing for Norsemen.
what joy a man gives is given back threefold. So my love used to say, dear Chiro, I sing now for her.
Used to.
Used. But now is no time for sadness. Join our revels. I was about to open a cask for my new friends. Come one, come all. Nothing heals the heart of woe like a mug of ale.
You look like the sort who laps at their brew like a kitten.
Wrong. Thor himself pales when he sees me take up my drinking horn.
Ha! Come and prove it then. Saxon, give us a song.
Oh, we have
Lord
drinking and
made
singing.
me,
Okay.
and the Lord
Show me how the Raven clan drink.
Sure.
You'll be under the table before I've even warmed up.
Oh, we'll see about this.
The Lord made me, and the
Oh,
Lord
God.
made thee,
Okay,
and the
I'm
Lord
gonna concentrate
made
now.
hops and barley. So if you would close to heaven,
You're going to start. I feel the cold fingers spreading through me. This is poisoned ale.
Feels like Jormungandr is turning in my stomach.
By Odin, this new ale is strong.
100 lives
I think I'm going
I
blind.
promised my love as she lay dying. A Danish arrow in her breast. 100 lives for hers. But there is one who has not been laid low. Let me see to that.
God, my head.
I'll grant you the long peace of the grave! Murderer! Reaver! Death to all Danes!
Even second. I am more than your equal. He lowered his prey with... Oh, you! He lured his prey with music, then poisoned them like a spider. Grief sick or no, the world is better without him in it.
To be fair, he really did bring us all in, you know? Confuse the hell out of everyone. Ale housekeeper. Regan, in case you cool down and come by, the tavern's closed for now. A stranger paid me off a good sunset to make myself scarce, and I wasn't going to ask questions. Got to tell him you had a key though, and he seemed keen on privacy, so I thought best to let it lie. Should you happen to turn up before I get back, try not to make a scene, my boy. I know how your temper gets. Come home and we'll talk about things you said. Father. Oh, I hope he didn't kill the son. Jesus. That'd be awful if he did. Wow. I'm just gonna quick check to see if the son met an untimely end, tragically. Doesn't seem it. Not that I wish for him to it, but you know. Unless that was it, unless he was the boy. God, I hope not. Wow. Shit. Well, to the boy, if he met an untimely end, requiescat in pace. Alright. Well. And here, I did promise to do a mission just so we can all cool off a little bit, you know, see other stuff and just... look, I'm sorry, I know I ranted on, I know I did all things, I know I probably got a bit more spoilery, but to be fair, that whole thing told me a bunch of things, yeah. And there was no way in 5 minutes I could rant like that. There was stuff I had to think of and all that. So yeah, look, I thank you all for listening to sitting through my rant. I do, because some things just have to be said. You know, this is an AC game that was promised to be something different. Yeah. Luckily, I enjoy playing as a Viking, and awesome, we're actually back in old England, in ancient England, so that part's really cool, so I'm enjoying it for that. Excuse me, I haven't found many bugs, so I feel quite fortunate in that respect. I know other people have had game-breaking bugs and all this, which is, I am personally quite pleased and very happy to have not discovered them yet, fingers crossed, but yeah. There's certain things about this game which should have been, and also should not have been at the same time, and it's just sad that we have to say this sort of stuff again in another game. So, you know, what was said about Odyssey, you know, the videos. If you don't believe me about when people, you know, some want to call it trash talk, some people want to say wake up and realize what the hell's going on. There are videos online with YouTubers, even I have watched, and I agree with them on that aspect fully. You know, they go into detail about the law, its, you know, correlation. And when I say about the whole thing about, you know, with the whole Atlantis and Isu thing, it was more just because of, you know, the cool kind of scenario, because Atlantis is mythical. I mean, there are some, I mean, okay, yes, there are some theories about where Atlantis could or might have been, but the whole mythical side of things of what, you know, it's like, oh, maybe this could have been the city of the Isu is kind of cool. Like, that is legitimately cool, you know? And who's to say that Atlantis was not actually an Isu structure? I mean, in terms of this game lore and everything, that Atlantis wasn't an Isu structure, Isu city, just not with the Isu we think to have been living there. You know, not with, you know, the Greek gods. It was just regular Isu, just using it for the template. So, I mean, in that aspect, yeah, Atlantis was really cool. In that aspect, don't get me wrong, but there are certainly other points that contradict it, and I do agree with them. But just in case anyone was wondering, but yeah, so far as I can see, Valhalla's heading down a bit of a slated path of Odyssey. Luckily, it has Order of the Ancient, has Templars. You know, we have an assassin named Hytham in it. Bassam, I don't cast an assassin anymore. I don't after what we've seen, what I figured out. So, yeah, at least we have an assassin. We have our Hidden Blade, and we... and, yeah, we have Templars, so... which is legitimate for what it is, so that's still pretty cool. So, you know, I don't knock it. You know, we've had bureaus and everything, which is really good, but yeah. One of those things. Oh yeah, I know I'm still waffling. I kind of want to summarize a little bit and just say that, to kind of sort of explain that in why what it is. But yeah, anyway, let me hear. Thank you all for... I had to rant. I needed to. I felt like I needed to. I was pissed off after all that. Though, to be fair, the anomaly part didn't help either. I'll be honest. That really didn't help. Oh, God. But yeah, look. Thank you for listening to my rant. I know it went on, but I had to get stuff off my chest. I hope it made sense. I hope I gave people who weren't as aware a better understanding. I know I can be confusing the way I say things sometimes, but I try my best. Sometimes when I rant, I don't make a great amount of sense, but I try to be logical. Anyway, thanks all for watching, especially for my rant. Sorry it went on for as long as it did. At least I did a mission to, you know, bring us back down into the game. Yeah, I'll see you next time. We'll be going through the rest of Hampshire and at least doing the side quests from Hampshire, and then we'll be heading off to do the Winchester arc. Yes, shush, Hearty. I can hear you in the background. God. See you next time.